what are you doing? You know you're in love with Jack Snyder.
Yeah. I can kiss that 50 million goodbye if I don't get...
Avec Monsieur Lucien Ouellette de Wallagrass, un vétéran de la Deuxième Guerre mondiale. Monsieur Ouellette, quel âge vous avez, là, vous?
Là, on parle anglais.
Ouais, OK.
Si quelqu'un veut voir, c'est ça qui...
Ouais, OK.
76.
76, so you were a young man when you went into the...
I was just 20 when
that right?
Sam called me.
Now, what were you doing in Wallagrass when you were 20?
I worked for Quigley for 36 years before retiring.
How about when you were 20 years old?
Oh, 20 years old, I was working mostly on the farm for my dad.
So your father had a farm?
Yes.
Right here, or?
Oh, just a little ways up here.
Oh, is that right?
Yeah.
And did he have a big farm or what?
No, in those days there was all small farms, just family farms.
Yeah. 20, 30 acres, maybe 40?
Probably.
Yeah. Big family?
8.
In his family?
In his family,
there were eight
family,
kids.
But in my family, we were 6 boys and 2 girls.
Okay. So what year was that when you were called?
When I was called was 1942.
So you were...
and I was in there till 1945.
45.
Yeah.
So in 1940... 3.5
years.
Yeah. 1942, you were draft material.
Oh, yes.
You were just waiting to go?
Well, I wanted to enlist, but my folks didn't want to, and I was happy that they had kept me after I knew what it was.
Yeah.
So when they lowered the draft from 21 after Pearl Harbor down to 18, then I was in that draft age, so they called me. I was 20.
So, okay, now I didn't know that. Before Pearl Harbor, the draft age was 21.
Right.
So they went from 21 to 18?
Right.
Like, everybody that was that age, like, hey, let's go.
And actually, we were just kids, but...
yeah, oh yeah.
Surprising that I could do this kind of work, but we were all the same.
Yeah. Did you, were you afraid? Were you willing to go? Did you want not to go?
I was willing to go, yes.
Most people were, most men I think were willing to go and fight. But you
like
were...
I just said, I wanted to enlist, but my folks didn't want to.
Oh, okay.
But I was happy after that they had kept me.
Yeah. So where'd you go now? You had to go for a physical somewhere?
Well, we went for a physical in Bangor.
Oh, you leave here and you go to Bangor for your physical.
And we were going down on a train then. And from Bangor, we were 37 rather, that passed the physical. And from there, they sent us to Fort Devens.
Massachusetts.
Right.
Now, you didn't even come home?
No.
Is that right?
And from Devens there, one went to the Medical Corps, one to the Signal Corps, and I went to the Air Force, and the rest were all infantry.
Oh, you were in the Air Force?
Yes.
Oh.
Yes. And from there, they sent me down to Keesler Field, Keesler Air Force Base, Mississippi.
Now, why were you chosen for the Air Force? Any reason?
I don't know. They gave us tests, and
okay.
I was pretty good at mechanic anyway, so
okay.
I made it. And then I was sent to Mississippi.
Now, what time of the year was that?
That was in August.
So it must have been nice and hot in Mississippi?
In Mississippi, we were living in tents. And it was so hot that we had to keep the sides up. And at night, the mosquitoes would eat the daylight out of us. And,
they have mosquitoes in Mississippi?
Oh my goodness, we were right on the golf course, on the Gulf.
Yeah.
And yeah, it was pretty bad. And after I was finished with basic, they sent me over to the school. And I went to school to go on B-24s.
Oh, is that a B-24
Yeah. And
what's that? Oh, yeah.
And after I was through with school, which was about
mechanics,
to be a mechanic.
Okay.
And they were building up the troop carriers then. So they sent me to California at the factory where they were building those. And there we had so many hours of following the line, and then so many hours of school until they were out. And when we'd get there, they would assign a number of a plane to us, and when it would come out of the assembly line, that was ours.
Oh.
They would take it up for a test flight, and after that, if there was something wrong, they'd fix it, and then it was ours.
So you stayed with the...
And from there, we'd go to the Mojave Desert to put the radar on them. And from there, I flew back to Pope Air Force Base, North Carolina, to train ourselves and train the paratroopers at Fort Bragg.
Now, what came out of a B-24? Was it paratroopers or bombs or what?
No, bombs.
Bomb.
They were the big 4 engines there.
Yeah.
But they had enough, I imagine, and they were building up the troop carriers, so
oh, yeah.
I had the chance of going over. Then I didn't have to go to gunnery school to be a gunner, because every member of on the bomber had to be a gunner.
Oh, is that right?
We didn't have that.
So your plane actually transported troops?
It was just transported troops and material.
Now, when a plane went over, let's say to Europe, you couldn't go across the Atlantic. You had to...
Well, we did through the southern route here.
Oh, okay.
Through...
As I see this, I'm with a... Yeah, this is the one here. You're in Florida.
Yeah.
And you go to Trinidad.
Yeah.
Here it is. Here it is. Florida, Trinidad, and then Brazil.
Right.
And then Ascension, what is this?
Ascension Island.
Ascension Island right here.
Because we couldn't go directly across.
Okay, and then you go to Western Africa.
Right.
And then you go in Gibraltar, or that's
Gibraltar.
Spain?
No.
Oh, that's England over there.
Yeah.
Okay, from Africa you went to England.
Right.
Okay, so everybody's based in England, is that it?
Yes. Yeah. We were based in England from the time we got there, about it was about the fall of the year after we had trained the troopers in
of 1942.
In Pope. Yeah. And then we trained night training all winter, all in gliders, and because we were supposed to invade France in the nighttime, which we did, and we had a rough time.
So this is like fairly early in the war, though.
Oh yes, yeah, yeah.
France was under Nazi occupation,
right,
and everything like that.
Right.
So now, well, let's say that your plane, you had transported troops to England. What did you do after that once you were in England?
We trained
for nighttime.
For nighttime, and we started. Well, this is the invasion here. We trained until June 6th.
1944.
Well, 1944. It was actually June 5th, and.
When they went ashore, it was June 6th,
right.
Or June, June 4th. Now, you were in England like a year and a half before D-Day.
Almost.
And what did you do there? You said you
just training and hauling material.
Did you go to, let's say, France, and did you drop paratroopers in France or anything like that? Or?
Yes. Yes.
Mostly at night?
The first time was at night. It's 92. I want to give you the number of planes that took part. Lee Mallory's grim forecast of airborne troop carriers and glider losses proved to be widely unfounded. He had predicted that at least 50% of the troop carriers, aircraft, and 75% of the gliders would be shot down.
Over France?
Over France. That's a British general. And Eisenhower thought it was so important that he went along with it anyway. And it was fewer than actually, down was about only 2.5%.
Now, what's a glider? Like, what does that do?
A glider
What's the purpose of it?
is an airplane without engines.
Okay.
And we were towing them, and they would haul guns, ammunition, jeeps.
You were towing them with an airplane?
Yes.
And then what did you do with it?
We started towing them.
Then what would this thing would be in the air?
Oh, yes.
Attached to the airplane. How did you get rid of it? You
It
just
was
dropped,
towed by a rope, and they would release it.
and this glider would go where?
It would land. I got pictures of that. I'll let you have the pictures so you can take a look
Okay.
at it at your place.
But what I mean is that this glider would fall on the ground in France, and
Yeah.
who would pick it up, and who would? Was there soldiers there, or was it the resistance maybe that?
They would have troops on them, or
Yeah.
ammunition, or whatever, and they would.
Oh, some of the gliders had troops.
Oh yes.
Oh,
Oh yes.
boy, that must have been fun, huh?
Yeah.
Now, all this time, you're a mechanic still?
Yes, but I was promoted to what they call crew chief.
Okay.
The crew chief, actually, that plane was ours. We were responsible for it. We had to inspect it every day. We had to run the engines and check all the gauges.
yeah.
The only thing we couldn't check was the altimeter and the airspeed, because that was. But everything else had to be checked on the ground.
Now, is this a picture of you here on the top of the plane there?
Yes.
Is that right?
Yes, I'm cleaning that.
Oh, yeah. You were 21 years old.
92.
Huh.
Well, by that time I was 22.
22?
21 rather.
Yeah.
20. Yeah, 21.
Now, you always stayed in England. You didn't go on the flights?
Oh yes.
Oh, you did?
Oh yes. Every time that plane took off, I was along.
Oh, was that right?
Oh yes.
Now, did you get shot at?
I'll come to that later if I have time. Come on. How many planes took part? It's page 92. Don't have the right thing here. We were 700 planes anyway. And the British had where I can't locate that now. Prediction of loss, aircraft loss, plane polluted. I thought I had that all checked out.
Now, did you have, while you were on the ground in England, did you get
No, not in England, but
the Germans didn't come over to try to destroy your planes or anything?
when we were in the, later on we moved in France. Then we were
Subject to bombardment by the Germans.
Yeah.
But in England they didn't come over, huh?
no. Well, they did, but
Wasn't the big
they
problem.
would bomb the cities more than anything else.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So your let's say your first flight over France, you're in the plane and you're dropping paratroopers or?
Well, and in the formation was piloted by Second Lieutenant John Esket, and
You were the
pilot Charles Pollock, crew chief Corporal Lucien Ouellette. I was just a corporal then, and flight officers piloting the gliders were Orville Hall and Stephen Place were co-pilot.
So you were the 10th.
These were the 78 men. We were 78 taking part in that. Radio and the crew chief, who had been selected to carry the colors of our squadron to France on this important mission across the Channel on the coast of Normandy, June 6, 1944, had been a day of furious and bloody fighting, as the Allied troops and the paratroopers, which planes of the 4th, 35th, and Allied groups of the Troop Carrier Command had dropped behind the enemy. Yeah, the Atlantic Wall defense on the previous night were badly in need of men and supply, which we brought in by glider task force. The first night they dropped the paratroopers, but the second night we went with that.
With the gliders.
With the gliders, with all that material they needed.
This was behind the enemy lines, though.
Yes. Oh, yes. Oh, definitely.
Yeah. But this was not your first trip across.
Well, that was my first trip into France.
Oh, is that right?
Yes, with a glider.
Okay.
Yeah. And we had that night we had one guy that was shot through the plane, Sergeant Wilhelm.
You mean he was killed?
Killed. Yep. That was. And all our planes returned. Well, I wish I could locate that without losing too much space.
Okay, so this is a letter that you wrote to your
my folks.
Your folks here in Wallagrass.
Yeah. Tech Sergeant Lucien Ouellette had been wanting to write actual accounts of experience to his parents, Mr. and Mrs. Honoré Ouellette of Soldier Pond, and only since the removal of censorship following VE in Europe was he able to do so. He writes, December 17, 1944, at 9 o'clock, we got word that the Germans had made a breakthrough in the Ardennes and we had to be ready for a mission at 11 o'clock. We had to put our special racks under the plane and drop supplies and get the plane stripped of all identification in case we were shot down. At 11 everything was ready, and by 9 o'clock the airborne had us loaded with food, ammunition, blood plasma and everything they needed. Some planes took off only to be grounded in France on account of the bad weather. I was among those who stayed behind, so we sweated it out for 5 days, staying in the plane at all times for takeoff any minute, and it was cold.
You were in England, though?
Yes,
Or were you in France?
Yes,
you were in England.
It was cold, rainy and foggy, and what a miserable time. We were worrying about the boys who needed those supplies real bad and worrying about the mission ourselves. On December 23rd, the weather cleared up enough in the afternoon for a takeoff, and we took advantage of it. We left at about 1. Those in France were still grounded, so it was up to us to deliver the goods. We got to Belgium just before dark, and when we reached the drop zone, the sun was also dropping. I didn't think it would be too bad, so I was standing back by the door to push the bundles out. I didn't have my flak suit on, which was a bad mistake. But that's another thing. If you had that flak suit on and if you had to bail out,
oh yeah,
you couldn't get rid of it fast enough to bail out.
Oh yeah.
So that's why I didn't have it. I didn't have my flak suit on. 20 minutes before the drop zone, the flags started coming up, and we had to fly solo on account of the bad weather that we were in machine gun range. I called to Bouchard, the radio operator, to bring my flak suit, because by that time the flak and bullets were tearing through the wings and the tail. I got in that thing faster than I ever did in my life. I could see the flag hit the ship on my left. The next thing I knew, it was shot down. Just before that, I saw a couple go down in flames. Nobody got out of it alive.
Couple of planes?
Yeah, I could see flag all over the sky, and the planes go down like flies when you spray them with fly spray. I could see my ship getting hit, and I was scared like I never was before in my life. You can imagine. Death was looking me straight in the face. Lots of bullets missed the gas tank by inches, and you know what would happen if they hit them. For 24 long minutes, we were under constant fire, and that aged me 10 years. It seemed like a lifetime. Then we had to spend the night in France, sleep in the plane again, in constant fear of being strafed by fighters, and it was so cold, it was awful. We got back to our base Christmas Eve and reloaded the planes that didn't have too much damage. We were grounded on Christmas on account of the fog and took off after Christmas, and so on until the Germans were back. A lot of boys lost their lives that day, and I was lucky enough to come out of it alive. And this is one mission, folks. I've been on lots of them since D-Day last year. That's how I earned the Air Medal with 4 Oak Leaf Clusters and 6 Battle Stars. I had 3 planes since last year. When a plane is shot up so bad that you need another one, that means you get pretty near get killed. And
Now you were on all those planes?
yes.
Every time?
Now, this is what I wrote home.
Yeah.
And this is what they wrote in this book. I have that.
What kind of book is that?
That's the history of our.
What is it called? Or is there a
what we did
title?
over there.
Is there a title
See,
to this book?
December 17. This is what I had here. December
Okay.
17, 1944. Orders call for a temporary lull in the regular daily cargo run to the far shore. The planes were to be ready and available for combat resupply duty in cooperation with our ground foreseen forces in Belgium. This was due mainly to the counterattack against the American First Army front along the Ardennes, along the Belgian frontier. December 18, 5 aircraft of the 76th led by Colonel Lewis, which was our commander, carrying 6 pair of packs and 2 door loads per plane, joined a group formation of planes led by Colonel McNeese and took off from England Park Aerodrome on the first leg of what was originally planned as a combat resupply drop. From Welford Park, the planes flew to Airstrip A93 near Liège, Belgium. From there, they flew to A41, where they were to await further action. And well, anyway, they had to return to Maybury, England, where the wounded were loaded into waiting ambulance. On December 23rd, that's what I had in here. Planes of our squadron joined 16 of the 78, took off from Welford Park. The cargo consisted mainly of gasoline and medical supply. Our planes were to fly direct to the battle zone from Welford Park, use airstrip A87 as an IP, then head for the Marcory DZ, that's a drop zone, opposition in the form of light flag and small arms was expected. And here I am listed, my plane and my crew.
Now, go ahead.
We were 13 planes. Following completion of the combat drop, our planes returned to airstrips in France. The following day, they took off and landed at Welford Park on December 24. The drawn and tired expression on the faces of our crews as they reported for interrogation gave ample evidence that this mission had been no milk run. Our squadron had been hard hit in the execution of this mission. Of 13 aircraft dispatched, only 7 returned.
Wow.
7 were returning to Welford Park. 2 of our planes were seen missing over the DZ in the face of intense enemy attack and small arms fire. 3 had been forced to crash land in Belgium, and 1 plane had been required to land for repair. The consensus of the opinion was that the plane piloted by Charles Jennings had been hit by a burst of heavy flak and burst into flame. Some parachutes were seen. The other plane, piloted by William Wales, was apparently hit near the drop zone. Observers reported seeing flames streaming along the entire left wing. Again, shoots were seen. Interrogation revealed that our planes had run into very concentrated barrage. We were expecting light attack, it says here, but then barrage of flak and small arm fire beginning at about 2 minutes flying time from the DZ and continuing until well after our planes had unloaded and left the spot behind. Just over the DZ, enemy tossed some 8 mm flak at our aircraft. 3 additional planes of our squadron landed on the continent. See, over here we lost 6.
Right.
Now 3 more.
Okay.
So that left only 4 that made the trip. The aircraft was left stabilizers for 5 sections of framework. The plane piloted by John Brower was hit on the tail section and on the left wing, and so on. The plane piloted, well anyway, the 76th crew who returned to Welford Park on Christmas Eve agreed that they had flown through the stiffest act in the squadron's combat flying history.
Wow.
Well, you can imagine, we left 13 planes and we returned with 4.
Yeah.
That was the worst though. We lose some. But
Now, you were dropping gasoline, you say, and medical supply.
no.
How did you drop that?
no. When we hauled gasoline, we had to land.
Oh, okay.
They had to unload it.
All
But
right.
this was
What were you dropping that mission?
plasma and
Okay.
ammunition. And
Okay.
It was in
Big.
carabacks was under the belly.
Okay.
So the pilot would just flip a switch and that would drop.
Oh, is
but
that
inside the plane we had to push them out.
Okay.
And
So you said one guy got killed on your plane.
yes,
By a bullet.
That was the first night there.
Okay.
But then we got more after that.
Yeah.
But we were lucky in a way because, of course, out of this here, I don't know. It said that parachutes were seen.
Yeah.
I don't know how many made it and how many didn't.
You never saw
No, we never saw
anybody.
it again.
Did you work with anybody from Fort Kent over there? Did you meet anybody in
No.
England? Never saw anybody?
Never.
Is that
Never.
right? Huh?
Never.
Now you never shot down, really. Now you were not like you crash landed or anything like that in
No,
France or.
no.
Now you're talking
Well,
about
that was the worst right here.
Yeah.
You can imagine. See,
Yeah.
like I said on this one here, the plane was so bad that I had to have another one.
Yeah.
But at least I returned with it.
Yeah.
And we were only 4 that returned.
Yeah.
So the others,
Boys, oh boys.
yeah. And
It must be scary. You were scared. Huh?
I was scared. if I'd say otherwise, I would be lying. I was scared, and you can imagine.
Never were wounded. Never had a wound or bullet
No,
or anything or
no.
shrapnel.
The only thing I got close, one time we were on a mission like that. It's not mentioned in this here. I was sitting, we didn't have a navigator then. I was sitting on the navigator's seat, where the operator was on the other side of the aisle. And we ran 2 small arm fires like that, or 50 calibers, I don't know what it was. One shot went up through the floor, right in between the two of us, about 1 foot from me, and another one on the other side, another foot. So that was close. A foot either way there would have gone
What?
through me. And one time that I was pushing the bundles out, like I said on this here, a burst of flak hit, and a chunk of it hit the door frame above my head, about 4 inches above my head. If that had been 4 inches below there, would have knocked my head right off.
Yeah, yeah.
So that was another close call. And one night, I don't know if it was a combat mission or not. I remember that. We were night flying, and there were little brushes on the end of the wings, about 1 foot long, to eliminate static electricity. And when I made my inspection the next morning, that was bent down. So that means that during the night, we got within 1 foot of another plane there, and the wings flipped up and down and bent that down.
Oh.
So that was another close call.
Yeah.
So that's,
You're lucky to be here.
yes.
Yeah.
Especially what I just read there.
Yeah. Yeah. That was the worst of it, huh?
Yeah, because it was going right through the plane.
Now, after D-Day, and let's say into 1945, that you're approaching, the army is getting into Germany. Now, did you still fly then?
First, after D-Day, after I could read in here when where it says that our squadron was the first to land in France with resupply missions and all that, and then we went to invade southern France.
Okay. And finally, you came into Germany. You still
Yes.
flying over Germany at the end?
Oh yes.
Like,
After southern France, we came back to England, and then we had the invasion of Belgium. That was a rough one too.
Yeah. Now this.
Well, I was in 7 of them, so you can imagine.
The one you talked about a while ago, that was the Battle of the Bulge, right?
Yeah.
In the Ardennes, huh?
Exactly. That's what they called it. Battle of the Bulge.
So did you end up in Germany finally? Did you ever go there physically in Germany?
Oh yes. Well, we
You landed there
We landed
after a
there,
while and
yeah.
saw all the destruction. That is it for the road.
Flew over it, and at times they would take an airstrip during the night or whatever, or the day before, and the next day we'd go and land there.
Okay.
And if we'd go turn around too far, the Germans were at the other end and they would shoot at us.
Wow.
So that's how close, because we were trying to get that material as close to the front line as we could, because they didn't have all the trucks they needed there to haul it to the ground troops. So we were trying to haul it.
It's like being on the front line yourself.
Almost.
Yeah.
Well, especially when they were shooting at you, either from the ground or from...
You were a target all the time.
Yeah.
Now, did you ever see any of the prisoners or the Jewish people there in the...
Yes, it's in here too. How many thousands of...
You saw them yourself when you were in Germany?
We hauled them back from Germany to England.
Oh, is that right?
The prisoners of war and wounded.
How about the Jewish people that were in the prisons? Did you...
Yes.
Had some of them too?
Yes.
Now
and even Russians.
Is that right? And so you were dealing with people who were very sick. And,
we'd haul a load of...
Over here you have a very interesting thing. This is what kind of a plane is this?
C-47.
C-47, and that's you?
That's me. That's what we were.
And this is in England?
No, that was in France.
France. Now, I see the number in front of the plane, 911.
Yeah.
What happened there? You started that number?
No, that happened to be my plane number.
I wonder where they got that number, but it's here.
Yeah. We were joking about that.
1946.
Yeah. Well, this is a side view of it. I'm standing near the door there.
Okay, so this is again, okay, on vous est comme fausse, là. And this is not the B-24 you were talking about a while ago?
No, the B-24, I just went to school on it, and that was it.
Okay.
They changed me to that, and I never...
And this was a transport plane,
right.
and one that would drop stuff. Ça, c'est quoi, c'est it?
So this is, that's the one I'm loading a Jeep on the plane there.
Oh, you're loading a Jeep?
Yeah.
So this plane would carry big stuff then?
Oh, yes. Oh, yeah.
Not tanks?
No.
No.
Jeeps, but and cannon. Well, this is what we call a flak suit there.
That's you in a flak suit?
Yeah.
C'est apaisant, celle-là.
Yeah, and it would interfere with you see, I got the parachute on the side there, so we couldn't wear both at the same time.
And now, this covers your body, not your legs?
No.
Okay.
And,
so it's like
the arms or the face or anything.
It's like a bulletproof vest today.
It is.
Huh?
It was steel.
And you were recommended to wear that on the plane, in case not to get hit, or?
No, we got used to it. And
yeah, but they would recommend that you wear it.
Yes.
Just like a seatbelt.
Especially when we were going on the combat mission.
Yeah.
So this is the first crew I had.
Okay, now in this crew here, you're on the right at the lower.
Yes.
And there's a lieutenant there. I see him.
Well, that's the one I told you.
He was transferred plane and he got killed.
He was transferred and in Holland he got killed.
Is that right? Huh? You never know.
No.
Could have been you. Just as well.
And this is I'm sitting on the plane with one of my friends from. He was from Pennsylvania, and look at the mud on our shoes and the mud on the plane. We were in France then, and it was just an airstrip built by the Germans, and it was just muddy.
It looks like today's weather, huh?
This is it there.
What is that?
Behind, and I was.
What is that?
That's a bomb, but it wasn't activated, so I wasn't.
Now, is it one of ours or
no, one of the Germans?
Oh, is that right?
They left that behind.
C'est toi avec la bombe là?
Oh yeah.
Ah.
I just wanted to pretend I was brave.
Brave, yeah.
And we were running the plane every day. That was our job. Before the pilots would come up, we'd run the plane, check all the instruments, and check the engines and everything.
Oh, okay.
So when they come, we were ready.
Ça, c'est la plane, c'est là?
That's the side view of it. And,
okay. What does the CW stand for?
That was our group number.
Okay.
And the
ça, c'est debout de la plane.
I'm washing the windows. We had to keep that clean. And
oh, yeah.
So this is the B-24 I went to school on, but I never had to use that. And this is where I went on the basic training.
That in Mississippi?
In Mississippi.
Oh, and those tents that you had to bring them all the way down.
The only time I slept in barracks was when I went to school in Keesler, this is the Air Force Base, and then when we were training in the paratroopers in North Carolina. Outside of that, I've slept in tents and Quonset huts and everything. Never in a barrack.
And in England too?
Yeah, in England we were in Quonset huts.
So
and,
you were...
And it was cold. We had 1 bucket of coal per day to heat that up. And of course the shower room and the toilet room was set apart. That was kept warm. But the barracks was all full cold. It was miserable.
You remember that?
Yeah. And in France it's the same thing. I got...
and cold for 3 years, huh?
Yeah.
You were there 3 winters.
Well, yeah.
We're going to look at some of your souvenirs there, the money part. Let me take a break here. This is a Brazilian note, 10 something,
yeah.
10 whatever. Let me try to read it. I can't. Okay, so you picked this up in Brazil. You were just going by there?
Just going through.
Going through?
And then back.
Okay.
Yeah.
Did you just go there once? And going and coming?
Yeah. But
okay,
we didn't stay there.
Then we have a 10-shilling note here from England. It's from the Bank of England, 1940. No, this is a 5. Attends là. 5. Il va falloir que je mette mes lunettes, je pense. It's always better to put your glasses on, because this is a Bank of England 10-shilling note.
Yeah.
That's what this is. Wow. And here we have the Brazilian note, which is called República Estados Unidos Brasil. 5,000 rice. That's 5,000 something, whatever it is. And then here we have a 5 franc note, 5 francs de la France.
This is Gibraltar, of course. Gibraltar belonged to England, so that's...
Okay, so Gibraltar is called government of 10 shillings again.
10 shillings, yeah.
Yeah.
And this is German Reichsmark.
Oh, this is a German Reichsmark. C'était fait de même, il y a un bout qui a rien là.
Yeah.
It looks like they ran out of ink or something.
Well, there's some on this side here with the...
Yeah.
With it. And in boss picture, look through the window there. You see that?
Yeah. Okay. This is a German Reichsmark, you call it, huh? 1924, oldie boys. August 30, 1924, Berlin. 1929. Wow.
This is
this is
another one for Brazil.
Oh, is that right? Banco de Brasil. 1,000 rice. Okay. Whatever.
Banco dell'Italia. That's Italian.
This is an Italian. What do you appelle ça? Des lires, Italy?
Yeah.
Lire? Look at that. Huh. Italian note, whatever it is.
Yeah, c'est Banque de France.
10 francs, is it?
Yeah.
10 francs from France. Je sais pas si ça existe encore, ça, des effets de même en France. They must have changed since then.
Well, I know England changed.
Yeah.
I don't know what this is here. It looks like Italian.
Oh, c'est Maganis, ça.
Oh, yeah, that's
Banque Nationale 2020. Banque, it looks French to me. Trésorerie. Looks very French, banque, the way it's spelled.
There's another.
It's hard to say what this is.
Mark.
This is a Reichsmark again here. Okay. 5 something or other. 5 Reichsmarks, I imagine.
Yeah.
And there it is. Comment ça, il y a un bout qui a rien de marqué. It's a funny looking...
Yeah.
Là, ici, il y a marqué 5, par exemple.
Ça, c'est...
10 what?
Lire, je pense, Italy.
This is Italy, yeah. Oh, yeah, that's right. 10 lire from Italy. And here we go again on the other side. Now, this would be, it seems to me, would be worth something today.
5 francs, mais c'est Banque de Maroc. Maroc aussi.
Okay, so this is Morocco here. 50 francs. Banque du Maroc. Boy, oh boy, oh boy, look at this. Ah, là, c'est écrit en quelque chose que je connais pas. Mais sur l'autre bord, c'est en français, hein?
Yeah.
Banque.
Morocco.
Attends, voilà. Oui, c'est ça que c'est. Banque du Maroc. Isn't that something?
C'est tout 5 francs, ça c'est français.
5 francs. Yeah, attends, voilà.
Un autre 5 francs, c'est pas pourquoi. Ils ont 5 francs ici, tout.
France,
Et
là.
un plus petit.
Attends, voir si c'est 5 ou plus. Hein. 100.
Ah, 100. Okay.
100 francs.
Ça ici, c'est rien que 5.
Yeah. Les autres, faut croire que le pièce, là, if it's worth less, it's smaller.
C'est
And if
smaller,
it's
ça
worth...
c'est rien que 5 ou tu peux masquer.
Ouais. This is 100 francs here.
Ça c'est 50, rice marks, ça coûte German, ça.
Oh, yeah, okay. 50 of them, huh? Look at that thing. Let me see what I shall go. Oh, yeah.
I think we'll look at these here. These are Morocco.
Yeah. Tiens, ça c'est tout?
Morocco, I think you look at those.
10 francs. Ah, non, je l'avais pas vu ici.
No.
No. So, did you... yeah, I saw this one, I think. Okay. Ils ont des trous dedans, là, les chaînes. Here we have a half crown, 1942. This is from Britain. And Mr. Ouellette here has all kinds of coins from across Europe and places that he
I don't know
went.
what these are. I know Chinese money have the...
And then your dog tags right there. Okay. Let's talk about now when you come back from all this in 1945. You were 8 kids in your family. Your parents had 8 children, you say?
Yes.
And you come back to the farm or what?
No.
Was the farm still going?
Well, I stayed at home until I got married.
Okay.
Got married almost right away.
Okay.
Started my own family.
And you lived in Wallagrass?
I lived in Valley Settlement for 2 years at our place.
Okay.
And then we bought this place here. And
So-
we've been here 48 years now.
Is that right, right here? Your wife was from Violet Settlement?
Yes.
Qu'est-ce que son nom, elle?
Campbell, Leon Campbell.
Oh, is that right?
That's the only Campbell family that was around here.
Well, that's a new one on me, too. I never heard of that, you know?
Yeah.
Well. They were French, they spoke
Well-
2 languages or not?
Her grandmother was from across, but
Okay.
her grandfather was from Island Falls.
Okay.
Campbell from Island Falls.
So did the family speak French at all, or did...
They all spoke French. The old man had to learn French
Yeah.
because the old lady couldn't speak English at all. So.
Oh, yeah. Well, in those days, most of us spoke just French anyway. So now you're in the Violet Settlement for a couple of years doing what?
I was working for Pat Pinette then as a carpenter
Oh, I see, yeah.
and doing a little plumbing on the side. And then Quigley hired me, and I went to get my license, and I was for Quigley for almost 36
You're talking
years.
about George Quigley now.
Well, no, I started with Don.
Don.
Don got the business from his father in the fall, and I started for him in the spring of the year.
This is before 1950 then. We're
Oh,
talking
yes.
about 46, 48, 47. And you worked there 36 years, you say, huh?
Yeah. Yeah.
Oh, my boy. Yeah,
And before I worked for, well, Pat couldn't employ me in the winter in those days. It was
Why?
very slow. So when they built the hospital, I worked there. I helped build
1952,
the hospital in 1952.
52, yeah, yeah. You worked as a carpenter, you mean?
Yes.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
So you were doing pretty good there. You had a lot of guys came back, didn't know what to do, and they had to move out, and they didn't have too many jobs. You had a steady job, and you stayed with it all these years. You have how many children?
6
6 children.
3 boys and 3 girls, and 14 grandchildren.
Uh-huh.
And this is my contribution to the army.
Oh, is that right?
Yeah.
Who's
That's
the
me.
first guy? La?
That's me.
Oh, that's you.
That's me.
Oh.
In those days we were Army Air Force. We had an Army uniform. They
Oh.
separated that after the war, made a
Oh, is that right?
Air Force or Air Corps. And That's Michael, my oldest one, Marine. The other one, a Marine.
And who?
And Tim, he lives up on top of the hill here. He's
Tim Ouellette.
Tim Ouellette.
He's quite in the army, isn't he?
He's hauling for Fraser.
But he was in the army.
He was in the army, army engineer.
And the other guy next to him, no?
That's Daniel.
Daniel. And he was in the, what's that, Navy?
No, that's both Marines.
Marines, okay. This is Tim, he said?
Tim.
Tim,
Yeah.
Danny, and
He's married with Peggy Daigle,
okay.
North Pearlborough.
They all live around here?
Yeah, well, he works for a copying machine company in Caribou. He lives in New Sweden.
Oh, okay.
And I'm around here, I'm here.
Yeah.
And he lives just down here, the way you said.
Not too far. Now, you 6 children, is it, how many boys and girls? What, 3 of each?
Well, I had, these are my 3 boys and I had 3 girls.
3 girls too, yeah. Are the girls around here?
Yeah, one is driving a bus for Fort Kent,
Oh,
Darlene Boucher.
okay.
And I got one in West Virginia right now, and one in New Jersey. And right now she's with her daughter in Texas.
Oh, yeah.
But,
Well, you've...
they're the only 2 that are not around here.
well, it's good to have some around anyway, huh?
Yeah.
Makes it so much nicer with the grandchildren around.
Yeah.
Well, you had your share, and you did your share. I can just imagine
Well,
being on that plane.
It's like I said, any place you will open that up there. My name's in here at least 12 times.
What is the name of that book, anyway?
It's the 76 Troop Carrier Squadron.
Oh, okay.
Well, the cover's gone off of it, but anyway.
76th?
Yeah.
Okay. Après ça, ici, il y a un autre affaire, là. What is this? World War II Army Airborne. Oh, troop carriers, okay.
Yeah, that's Troop Carrier.
World War
And
II.
this is how it looked when we were lining up to take off.
Okay.
Can you imagine the roar when the crew chiefs would go and start those up and warm them up to take off?
And how many were they?
Well, on D-Day we had 700 of ours.
Holy
And it was
jeez.
1350 with the gliders and the British. It wasn't all at the same field.
No,
No,
of
but
course not.
it was all over. This one I've had for a long time, but the others there I just got them.
Oh. And then you have one on D-Day.
Yeah.
Hey, boys, huh?
Yeah.
Huh. Okay, now what's this called?
250,000 wounded evacuated.
250,000.
That's just our squadron.
Holy,
Because
holy.
this here is just about our squadron mostly.
Now they have here a DC-3 and a C-47. Is that the same thing? or-
Same thing. The only thing is the DC-3 had only one small door, and the C-47 had the 2 doors where we could
Okay.
bring a jeep and a
Now
cannon and everything.
they call them the Goonie Birds here.
Yes.
Is there a reason for that?
No. I don't know.
It must have been because it was so dangerous, maybe.
No.
No?
They thought they would be, but that was the safest plane ever, and
Is that right?
it could do almost anything.
Yeah. Well, I'm glad you
And
came back.
Well, you can see in here it says that we had the 900. Turn that off there. Just the day before, for identification, because we had to go there in the dark, and that was luminous.
We were just on top of the plane.
No, under the wings and around here.
Oh, is that right?
And some of those kept us from bumping into one another. And the trouble is, well, they had to put that because when they invaded Sicily, they didn't have that, and even our Navy shot at them.
Oh, boys, oh, boys.
And it says here that it was 900. And
Oh, so there was danger of making mistakes and destroying
Yes.
yourself, you know?
yes, yes.
Hitting each other and being shot down by your own people.
Mm-hmm.
Ben, vous avez été chanceux.
And you can imagine, 1,300 aircraft in 2 nights, of course, but
Yeah.
in the air.
Yeah.
It started rowing over England at, I think it was 10 o'clock, the 5th. And we were there after midnight, the 6th. And then the next night, we loaded in the afternoon and we took off and we drop our gliders before 12. So the two missions were on the 6th. That's why they claimed that invasion
Okay.
on the 6th.
Yeah, D-Day was June 4, and this was right after, I think, huh?
No,
Once the troops were...
supposed to be 6.
Maybe it is. It might have been plus loin.
Yeah.
Anyway, ça aurait dû être pas mal excitant.
It was. And
Now when...
like that prediction about the general there, we didn't know that. That he had predicted 50.
Of course they wouldn't tell you.
50% loss on the planes and 75%.
They wouldn't tell you that anyway.
Oh no.
No.
No. We got that after we got these books.
He was wrong for sure. It's a
I
good
got
thing.
this book only about 3 or 4 years ago.
Is that right?
The other one I had for a long time, and my family haven't read that. I kept that away from them.
Your wife wants me to mention before we close here that you have a great grandchild too.
Yes. Yeah. She's in Texas. That's why one of my daughters is in
I
Texas
see.
now.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Well, listen, good luck to you, and I hope you have... Well, you're only 76. You're not that old, you know.
It's like I said when we started. I think I said that anyway. There's no way you can tell a story of 3.5 years in an hour.
Oh, yeah.
And especially...
Yeah.
Like I have it here. I wrote a letter to one of my relatives one time. And I said that I had lost so much weight that my jacket didn't fit anymore. Well, you can imagine staying on a plane up to 5 nights or 5 days, and every time that we were away from the base, I had to stay with that plane. That was mine, my bird, and I had to stay with it. And when we were hauling anywhere from France to Germany, at times we were making 2 trips a day. Well, we'd go make a trip, and then we'd come back, and it was time for lunch. Well, the pilots and the crew would go for lunch, but I had to stay there and make sure that that load was tied down properly and everything was loaded. We had to have a slide rule to make sure that it wasn't front heavy or back heavy.
Oh, yeah.
And that was our job. So didn't have time for lunch. So we had to eat K-ration. And I don't know if you ever heard about K-rations.
Yeah, I didn't. I never had some, but...
it got to a point where we just go without. We didn't.
Is that bad?
Oh, chef, you couldn't eat that stuff. After a long time.
Like dog food.
And we did that from June 6th to about March the next year.
Yeah. All the time.
So all the time.
Yeah.
Once and twice a day.
So you had a meal when? How often?
Well, we'd have breakfast, and when we'd come back at night, if it wasn't too late,
and at
open, then we'd have something to...
At 21, 22, you were hungry.
Yes.
More than we are now.
Yeah. So I got so thin that...
Is that right? You were going to remember...
It's not because we were working too hard.
No.
Because actually, we were flying. And we had to supervise the tying down of the load and everything, but we weren't handling it. But it was long hours.
Yeah.
And scary hours, and without eating, so it was hard. It was the hardest 8 months of my life.
Yeah, I would think so. Been easier since.
And there were times where we'd say, well, they can court-martial me, I'm not going back. If I can land safely this time, that's it, I'm not going back. But we'd get together, and we'd talk what one guy went through and the other guy, and then it's our job. The next day we were going back again.
So everybody felt like that then? Mm-hmm. Everybody felt like, gee, I hope I'm out of here pretty soon.
Yeah.
But they still, anybody...
You can imagine, when you take off there, and, like I read here, we took off 13 and we came back only 4.
Yeah.
Every time you take off on a combat mission, it wasn't like that on resupply missions. But on combat missions,
in
the back of your head you were thinking, well, will I come through this time or will it be me this time? See? You never knew,
Oh yeah.
but you had that in the back of your head.
Oh yeah. Holy,
You,
holy.
you just you couldn't help it.
Yeah.
No, I would be lying or bragging if I'd say it didn't bother me or
Anybody
I
ever?
was scared, plenty scared.
Anybody ever run away? They must have had some that didn't go back, or did you see anybody didn't go back or quit, or in your group? Or?
No,
No.
no.
Everybody kept going.
It's like the paratroopers when we trained the paratroopers in Pope Field. One time I had two that didn't jump, and the others said, "You know what's going to happen, and you better come up with us." But they didn't. That's the only two, and that was in training. But in combat, I wouldn't say for sure, but it seems like the jump master would go around and give them a pill of some kind. He would give them something. And the minute they had that, they were just raring to go.
Oh yeah.
So, because they knew too that it was.
Oh yeah, I do it too.
Yeah.
Same thing.
It's
You might never come back.
yeah, like us. We went 1,350 planes and glider the first 2 nights, and 29s were shot down. Well, to them, that was the end of the war.
Yeah, yeah,
See,
yeah.
they didn't come back, and
Yeah.
and we didn't know how many.
Yeah.
And every time we'd go, we'd lose some. Our squadron wasn't too bad. The worst was shot was what I read here.
Yeah.
That was bad. Outside of that, most of the time we didn't lose any. We'd get shot up though,
Yeah.
but we managed to come back. So,
Well, it's been quite an experience, and I'm sure you'll.
well, that's why after I came back, I never talked to anybody about that.
Yeah.
They didn't know what I had been through until today.
Is that
What I
right?
read out of this here, most of my family hasn't read that.
Is that right?
They read those there, but
Yeah.
it's not that stuff. See, like this here, they read this, but even here, I was supposed to tell the folks what had happened, but I didn't.
Yeah.
I didn't tell them that we were shot up and only 4
Oh,
of us
yeah.
came back.
Yeah.
It's not in this, but it's in here.
Oh yeah.
It's the same article, same dates, and the same.
Yeah. It's a match.
But
Did you see anybody since then that were in your plane or working with you in England? Have you seen any of these people?
yes, yes. One time we went back to our daughter in New Jersey, and one guy, the one I'm sitting on the plane with, from Pennsylvania,
Yeah.
Philadelphia, came over there to visit with us.
Oh yeah.
And then the radio operator that I read about here, Bouchard, he lives in New Jersey too. It's about an hour and a half from my daughter's. He came over one time.
So
But that's the only
Bouchard.
two I've seen.
C'est un Bouchard, ça?
And Bouchard.
He lives in and where?
And he lives in New Jersey.
Was he from up here originally? Do you know?
Apparently, because when they had the Bouchard reunion, he came over.
Ah. You saw him then?
No,
No, you
I
didn't.
saw him down there.
Oh, okay.
And that's the only. I know. I kept in touch with quite a few others there, but I never got around to see them.
Yeah.
But these two, we got together.
Well, I think people are going to enjoy seeing this and having.
It's like I say,
It's like, yeah.
8-9 months of combat, you cannot tell about it
No.
in an hour or so.
Yeah.
But not much.
People appreciate.
I can open this
What's,
book anywhere here and read about.
Some of your experiences. People don't know unless they've been there, you know.
Huh? Huh?
Well, listen, thanks a lot, Monsieur Ouellette.
Yeah.
And,
Well, I wasn't going to do it, but then when I saw you interview
Maurice Degg. Oh, Monsieur Voisin.
Voisin, puis
Yeah. Il y en a qui veulent pas en parler, tu sais, mais d'autres que...
up to this point I didn't want to.
Is that right?
No. But then I figured, well, I might as well let people know.
Well, it's been over 50
It's over
years.
with now anyway.
Yeah, and people,
But
young people today don't
But I
realize.
was trying to forget it until I got this book here and I started reading it.
Yeah.
It brought things back.
Yeah. C'est bon, thanks a lot.
Okay.